going?
It's going well.
Buddy, how you getting on?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah.
Good stuff. So, like I say, obviously, I've had a sneak peek. I first saw you supporting Pip maybe 4 years ago in the Button Factory. You and a CDJ 500 and all that. And
I remember that show. That show was wild.
The guy you picked up for You Can't Dance was the funniest guy ever. It's still on YouTube and it's still worth watching.
Yes, I do. He was kind of raggedy. He was like a raggedy
I think
boy.
He probably had a bit of vodka before he went out, in fairness, if memory serves.
Only does memory serve, but I serve that full dance floor.
There was no doubt about it. He shagged around like a rag doll for, God knows how much of the song.
Toast.
The second time we saw you was just a year ago on the speech development tour with Buddy and Wargy and who's the guy on drums?
Paul Glover.
Paul Glover on drums. That was Pip's drummer from the previous tour.
Wargy was too. Yeah.
So it was a very rocky show. It was
too rocky. It was too rock and roll here at the Workman's last time. Wargy broke his ankle after that show.
Yeah. It's a crazy staircase.
He got excited.
He blamed it on.
Well, we caught him buying half pints of Guinness that evening. Yes. So
ding ding
ding
ding ding ding.
Either he did a lot of half pints or he just can't handle his Guinness, one or the other. I don't know.
Happened.
Yeah.
There's a clearly marked step that's just a little steep backstage.
So what you're saying is Warren can't drink, is that what you're saying?
Half pints. Women. Well, that's for women.
He blamed it all on Natasha.
Women and children, I think, drink half pints.
Especially here, they only make it down the street.
No disrespect to the women. I know you can handle your liquor better than Warren. Wargy.
Yeah, most people can. Yeah. So I suppose the question is, we've had the CDJ show, we've had the rock show. Mm-hmm. What's the flavour for the Kill the Wolf tour?
The flavor for the Kill the Wolf tour is just the pure hip hop formula of one MC and one DJ, which me and Buddy have put together like a really tightly crafted, almost homage to some of our homage. I don't know how you homage.
I use it interchangeably, but I say homage is the
homage.
Supposed to say that.
We've put together an homage to our favorite, MC DJ combos: Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Run DMC, Idea and Abilities. We've been inspired by that stuff and put together some things that only an MC and a DJ can deliver, a kind of show that only an MC and a DJ can deliver. And we've kind of used some of the same hardware that we were using for the band in order to make it sound huge and sound as big as a band. So we're still using like the Moog Sub-Fatty on stage for the bass that makes the club shake and all that. But yes, that's the setup this time.
For the record, during the show on Saturday, there was a ledge along the side of the building, and at 2 different points during the bass, glasses worked their way off the ledge onto the ground.
Things like when I'm DJing as well, so I've got the turntables in front of me, they kind of like skate across.
It was nothing to do with that drunk lady that was dancing down beside them. They worked their own way off.
That's carefully designed to do that. Yeah.
Well, certainly, you fill the room with the bass. There's no doubt about it. On to Kill the Wolf and the albums. This is the bit where I get a bit confused. You have to help me out because when we get to B Dolan, we've got albums and we've got mixtapes. We've got House of Bees stuff and then we've got the albums. Like for me, it's just a big bucket of B Dolan. What is the difference? Where do you delineate what's on a mixtape and what's on an album? Like, is it just clearance stuff that makes it different, or?
To a certain degree, it's clearance stuff. It's songs that contain samples that we want to use that are either unclearable or sometimes it's just there's a tradition in rap of taking another MC's beat and making a new song of your own on it, and that is mixtapes are a part of hip hop culture that part of what got me into rap music in the 90s was getting these tapes from DJs like DJ Clue and like these little cassette tapes that would just circulate and they would have all this exclusive stuff on it, like freestyles or different versions of tracks you've never heard, or so that it's a long kind of history of mixtapes in rap, and the samples and the fact that me and Buddy are both big fans of very sample-heavy music that the legality of which for an independent artist is hit or miss. But we don't like, we don't want to accept that we just can't make songs like that. We can't make a song like Film the Police because like we can't get permission for, like, we just make it and then we just put it on a mixtape, give it away.
Just throw it out.
Yeah. And there's also, they're really crafted. Like, we don't work any less hard on the mixtape than we do on the album. And I know that I have fans that are more fans of my mixtapes than my official albums.
So some of the mixtape stuff, like Film the Police, like Which Side Are You On, and all that sort of stuff, and obviously there's some kind of remixes of your own stuff in between as well, and there's different versions. Like I say, there's all this talk, and I've seen it written so many times. Oh, it's taken them 3 years, 4 years, 5 years to get an album out, and I'm like, well, no. Like, in my mind, they only B's 3 out like a few months back, you know. So
the distinction is almost for just the industry. For mixtape means it doesn't go through the distributor, it doesn't go through iTunes, and it's not on Spotify and all that bullshit. So the mixtape is just that's why it's more immediate. It's often more satisfying if you know what a mixtape is for and you are a fan of a mixtape. You start, like, there's certain rappers that, like, when their new album is coming out, I'll check that, but at first I'm gonna check their new mixtape because the mixtape is where the raw stuff is, the street stuff is, the really satisfying stuff to a rap head sometimes that just wants to hear bars, and then sometimes, like, the album has got the song, the single, that type of thing. So there's slight distinctions here and there.
So quite simply, if you want the mixtape, come to the show and hit the merch booth.
Yeah, or Bandcamp. Or,
Superb. I wanted to ask, and speaking about mixtapes, and two of the songs we've mentioned already, Film the Police and Which Side Are You On, I'm sure they've been described as powerful and topic songs and all that sort of stuff a million times, and they're two that catch me. Film the Police started around Occupy, but has now been applied to
It started before Occupy. It started with Oscar Grant, who was murdered by San Francisco Transit Police.
Right.
And then that's when we started working on that song. And then it happened. We finished it, and Occupy was happening at that time. That just kind of synced up without our intending to. Yeah.
And obviously, since it's been applied, and it's gotten even more in focus with Baltimore and with Ferguson and all them sorts of things. Equally, Which Side Are You On? And certainly, particularly the video and stuff around it, was very heavily around the LGBT issue. Yeah. But of course, can be used equally for any kind of justice and equality issue. And like you say in the third verse, I'm on your side probably, like, Yeah. Do you ever worry, however, with particularly strong songs like this, that somewhere down the line, some group or some cause will pick it up that you're really not cool with?
Yeah, no, I don't worry
about it. Does that
about
happen with any of your tracks?
No, that's never happened. I'm pretty, especially with those types of songs. I'm so literal. I mean, like, how are you gonna? I call police pigs and Film the Police. I'm pretty clear. And that was part of Which Side Are You On too. Was like, I'm not. Every song I make isn't gonna be like this. And in fact, there's almost no other song I've ever made that's like that. Where it's just like but in the place I was in, I just wanted to lay it on the line one time. Which Side Are You On was the haunting song that has been used in a lot of different ways by a lot of different movements. And it was just a clear statement of which side I'm on, for the record. Just so there's no confusion. If you ever need to know, it's right
that's
there.
Where it is. That's where it is.
So I don't worry about that too much.
Like, it strikes me, and personally speaking, when I'm listening to the album mixtape stuff, Film the Police, Which Side Are You On, Joan of Arcadia, things like that, are all the big songs. And what struck me the first time I saw you was what I didn't expect was a fucking funny show, like. The albums, the mixtapes are so hard, and there's so much content in them. You pitch up here on an evening, and you spend as much time laughing as you spend jumping. Is it conscious that what goes on Wax has message and has contents? And
not necessarily. I think maybe it used to be. Like, I think as time has gone by, my music has gotten funnier and more, but has gotten more like me. that's like an ongoing process for me. I'm always working on trying to get my music to reflect me as a person, to get as much of myself into the music as I can, and that's part of the job that I think I've gotten better at. And the mixtapes was part of that, because the mixtapes, again, like that off the cuff, kind of direct to the listener format, allowed me to make songs like when we did the Vin Diesel reboot, or the
Biz Markie one.
The Biz Markie one, the Justin Timberlake's.
I shouted for Justin Timberlake last time, and you gave me a big scowl off the stage. It says, right, that's off the checklist, and
I think you need to disown that poem. I think currently I think that I know people love that over here. When I'm in the UK and Ireland, like people are always like, just the open letter to Justin Timberlake, and I don't know. I recognize the craft in it, and it's funny and it works. I know why it works. It works in the way that like a good slam poem works. Like it pushes slam poetry buttons in the crowd that make them pop and laugh. And but I think it just went. It became the thing that I didn't want it to be. I wanted to talk about like feminist ideas.
Yeah.
I wanted to, and for people that don't know, this is like a 4-minute tirade against Justin Timberlake in defense of Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, was a very funny, absurd thing for a 300-pound man to be just on stage like, Britney! Leave her alone! But I think the reason people started liking it, what I feel when I perform it, is that the crowd is like, yeah, like give it to him, like, and it just went too far into the mean-spiritedness. Like I don't.
It got nasty.
Yeah, I don't want it to be that. I don't. So I try not to perform it.
It's like Who Killed Russell Jones. Like it's really serious and moving, but there's parts of it that are sort of it's funny, and because it's on the right side of like the topic kind of thing. So
Well, I suppose that's the next thing. When you do things like Justin Timberlake, like Russell Jones, like Rick Ross, obviously we saw what went up on the Wu-Tang site, bringing it up, and that must have been major.
It's gratifying.
That they received it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they could have very easily turned around and called you all sorts of names.
Yeah.
But they seemed to receive it in the right way.
Yep.
You know.
Same with Rick Ross. I mean, I said some like hard truths about Rick Ross, the Freeway Ricky Ross. And he co-signed that song. He still posts that song. I see him on Twitter posting it.
That has to mean something.
Yeah, it
Justin Timberlake hasn't been on the phone yet, no?
No. Actually, Justin Timberlake's, that poem, Scroobius Pip tried to play that on his XFM show when he had it, and that was the only track that XFM ever stepped in and said, you can't play this.
It's just too much.
Yeah, because like there was some partner that was about to be promoting a Justin Timberlake tour. Yeah. That was the only track that Pip ever got censored by XFM.
It went all corporate on that. So, like...
Number one, baby.
Moving on, we've talked about the different sorts of shows that we've seen already and that we're seeing on Kill the Wolf. This time last year, me and Andy got to see Sage on his tour as well, which was fantastic. We saw him there's a little place in Dublin called the Sugar Club. Yeah. And as the name suggests, it kind of looks like a 70s porn theatre, all boot seats and.
He likes 70s porn.
Well, it was strangely fitting, like. Yeah, but,
he's like an aficionado of 70s. I don't know if there's.
Sage, you've been out with it. It's all right.
Great.
The one thing I haven't seen, and the one thing I'm kind of jealous of not seeing yet, is that kind of Sage and B. Dolan Church of Love and Ruin type thing. Is there any plan to bring that back to Europe again at any stage?
The Church of Love and Ruin is never coming back until I'm dead.
Right,
it's never.
That's spent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were 27 people on that tour. I had a 19-piece marching band with me. We required 2 16-passenger vans and a 3rd passenger van full of equipment to move around everywhere.
That's a lot of travel lodge rooms.
Yeah. It's we stayed in an empty venue that let us crash in Birmingham. Fans brought air mattresses and blankets. That priest robe I wore every night on stage, I used that as a blanket. Like I slept under that on a couch in a freezing warehouse every night. We showered at a local homeless shelter. It took like a year to set up, and at the end we made nothing and lost nothing.
Right.
Which was to me an incredible achievement. Like we played Bestival, brought more people to Festival than Stevie Wonder did, who was headlining it here. Like, but you know, when we promoted that tour, we were like, this is a once in a lifetime show, and everyone was like, once in a lifetime. Yeah, I'll catch the next one. And like,
no, it's not coming back. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it's not. No, never again. Never again. But me and Sage will tour again. Yeah, me and Sage. The next album I want to work on, and we've started passing songs back and forth, is the Epic Beard Men album. That we've talked about making a joint album for years, and people have been asking for it. We've done tracks here and there. Buddy's produced actually probably most of them.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, and speaking of Epic Beard Man, that remix that Buddy did, that was more recent.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, you can't win. Yeah, it was really. I think we had that.
You produced the original and the remix.
Yeah.
Keeps you busy. Well, while we're on the subject, Buddy, turning to you, we know you from the stuff you've done here. We know you. We saw you with Prolific here a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
We obviously saw you with Wargy and the War and Peace setup last year. Is there plans for a second War and Peace? Or?
Yeah, it's in the works. It's a funny one because we're both busy on different things. We've got a lot of it done now, but it's
no. You can't get a beat from Buddy Peace.
Can Wargy get a beat from Buddy Peace?
No.
I have to.
Yeah, you're
break your other ankle.
On the management there.
Punk.
Yeah, do your podcast. Yeah.
Nah, I like War. I like War and Peace. I F with that. Shout out to Wargy.
That sounded like you meant it.
At the risk of and I suppose people will expect at least something from you on it. At the risk of getting slightly political while I have you here, you've done a lot of talk about displacement of people and refugees and all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to get your twopence worth on what's going on in Europe at the moment. Do you have a view? What the hell can we do about it?
Well, I've been on tour for 3 or 4 weeks now, so I'm a bit removed from news. I only have very little time to catch up on what is actually happening. So in terms of the foreign policy intricacies of what is causing the refugee crisis that's happening now, I can't really speak intelligently about what Russia or the U.S. needs to do. But in general, we see the same thing, or not the same thing, but we have a similar problem in the U.S. that is there's a lot of demagoguery around now with our presidential race kicking up and Donald Trump and
his big wall.
This very popular notion that immigrants are what's wrong with America or the working class, or that they're taking jobs, when in fact most research shows that they create jobs and that they strengthen a country, and that but there's always, and this is forever, this is every single wave of immigrants that's ever come anywhere. The first time I came to the UK, I was told it was Pakistanis were receiving a ton of immigrant hatred from the white working class, and I think it's just it's a popular notion, and it's an easy target. And it's the cheapest target too, because it's really the segment of any society that is the most helpless, the most you're in a country where you don't know the language, and if people have never experienced that, even just traveling, go to France where no one wants to speak English to you, go to France and try and just get your normal shit done on a daily basis. Try and get your laundry done. Try and get to your job. Try and get a job. Try and go grocery shopping. Try to get an apartment. And that's if you've got some money in your pocket. Now imagine being dead broke in a place where no one wants to help you, no one knows you, you have no support network, you have no resources, and this idea that that is who we should be afraid of, not the millionaires that are cutting your wages, not the banks that are keep raising your country's inflation rate, not the corporate welfare, just the most helpless people, the people who can't defend themselves. And it's just it's a popular myth, and it's something that ignorant people latch on to. So this fear of refugees, ultimately,
it's something I say again and again to people, because look, no matter what country you're in, you get the same reaction. You know, the South Park, they took our jobs reaction. You know,
right.
Which happens, and like particularly here in Ireland, again and again, I say to people, look, how many million people did Ireland send to America and Australia?
Yeah, it's particularly hypocritical here.
Doing it, like, you know, I've a brother in Australia for the last years, and he's done time in Australia. My sister's done time in the States. We still do it.
Yeah.
And what I say to people is, the particularly hypocritical thing is, now when we send people off to these places, it is a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
They could have a life here,
Right.
and they choose, okay, well, I'm going to go off and party in Sydney for 3 years or something like that. And, you know, even at its worst here, if you're in trouble, you know, yes, there is a social welfare system here that'll look after you.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is, you know, these a lot of these people are walking like 2,500 kilometers.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's why I find the hypocrisy difficult.
Yeah, and I've seen like countries like Iceland being like really models of like, you know, the government said like we can accept this many people, and the citizens signed a petition to say no, we can accept more.
Yeah.
These are the people that are willing to like personally accept people, and you know, in a couple of years those societies will benefit. You know, in the U.S. there's this myth, they're coming here and they want to make the second language of America Spanish. They don't learn to speak English. No, like, I'm from an immigrant family. I'm a third generation immigrant. So my grandmother came here from Italy, and her mother died without speaking very little English. Yeah. My grandmother speaks kind of broken, adorable English. My mother speaks perfect English. I am a rapper and I'm a writer. You know, so like it's just the way of, you know, assimilation that if you don't speak English, your kids will.
Yeah.
And you know, this fear that like they're not going to learn the language, they're going to turn this into their country. Of course, it's just nonsense.
Yeah. We'll get back to music. It's all right.
All right.
So look, there's been all the talk. You've spent so long on Kill the Wolf. It is fantastic. You know, I've spoken about my favourites off the album, and certainly I'm sure you're starting to see what the big bangers are on the tour. You spent a long time at it. It's fantastic. But I have to ask you, once you're through with Europe and a bit of the States, what's next?
What's next? Oblivion.
Sleep.
No, actually, there's a couple things in the works already that I shouldn't talk too much about. Me and Buddy have got another project we've been discussing. We're gonna put the House of Bees stuff aside for a minute and work on something else. We told people that the third House of Bees was the final one, and we're gonna try and stick to that maybe.
Yeah.
Like all them bands that do their last tour like 15 times, yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna try and put the House of Bees thing down. We have this other idea that we're both pretty excited about, I think. And
You know I'm excited.
all right. Well, it's hard to gauge your excitement sometimes. You're very
excited.
the waters are calm, but there's a lot going on beneath the surface.
he gets excited when that Novation thingy is that what it is?
Excited when that
You put flashing lights in front.
As soon as them green and purple and yellow lights go off, he just goes mental for about an hour and a half. That's when Buddy gets excited.
Burst of energy.
And look, I suppose that there's only one way to finish up, and you know, that's with the question, you know, what does the B stand for?
Bad motherfucker.
Superb. Thank you. Appreciate it.